Hi, Ben here. So is the Quansheng UV-K5 99 any better than the original UV-K5 8? So the adverts for the Quansheng UV-K5 99 suggest that the radio is capable of transmitting and receiving from 20 right through to 1000 megahertz. So let's put that to the test. I'm not convinced. So the UV-K5 99 comes with stock firmware OSFW BD90CA3, and I'm thinking that might be the only change. So before we do anything and do any tests, let's take these two radios apart. So we'll dismantle the 99 and we'll dismantle the UV-K5 8, and let's see if the actual hardware has changed or whether it is still the same. So first of all, both the batteries look the same to me. If we take the batteries off, we'll see that the UV-K5 99 has got the standard 1600 milliamp hour battery, as has the UV-K5 version 8. It's got the exact same battery in it. And if we take these apart, let's have a look at the PCB to see if it's the same. So this is the UV-K5 version 8, and you can see that the PCB in that is the R51 version 1.6 ZH18, and my suspicion is that the 99 model will have exactly the same board in it. So let's take that apart as well. And just as I suspected then, the PCBs look exactly the same. You can see it's another R51 version 1.6 ZH18. The XHR number is slightly different, but I think that's probably the build date. So this one's 2404, so I'm assuming that's to do with 2024 and probably a batch number. And the other one was 2333, so like I say, I imagine that's probably a batch number on these. But yeah, initially the PCBs look identical, so I think the only change is really with the firmware which it comes loaded with, and obviously the slight cosmetic difference that we've seen change on previous versions of the Quanshengs. So the first test I was going to try was the receive sensitivity. So I've got the UV-K5 99 plugged into the Tiny SA, and we're going to swap to change the mode to low out mode. Let's select that, and then we're just going to do a test on 145.500 megahertz, and I'm going to set the level to as far low as it will go, so minus 67 dBs. We want an FM 3 kilohertz output out of that, and then let's switch that on. There you go, and you can see straight away on the radio there we're getting a reasonable signal, and S9 plus 30, and I think that means it's minus 58 dB on the screen there. I can't get the backlight to stay on this stock firmware. The backlight won't stay on, so apologies for that. And what I'm going to do is we'll increase the output on this. Oh, right, and then so we're up to minus 46 dBs out on the Tiny SA, and it's showing at minus 27, and still S9 30 dBs with the squelch closed, obviously, on the 99 model. Let's take that right up to minus 7 dBs, and you can see S9 plus 30, and we're minus 2 dBs on the UV-K5 99 there. So yeah, as you'd expect on the 2 meter band, the sensitivity is pretty good. So let's try that on 20 megahertz, because it does claim to receive on 20 megahertz as well. So I'm going to put in 0 to 0, 0, 0, 0, so 20 megahertz. We're on FM again, so let's change this to 20 megahertz on the Tiny SA. 20.0 megahertz. And then we'll try the same test again. Let's set that going, and you can hear straight away there's nothing coming out of the of this yet. I think if we open the squelch up, which is the middle button there, there you go. It's still showing that we've got S9 plus 30 dBs, but it's minus 32 at the end there. So it will only receive that with the squelch open, and I can't get this to go any higher on the Tiny SA, the output. So yeah, obviously the sensitivity's not as good. Let's drop that down and see what happens. So I've dropped it right down to minus 76 decibels on the Tiny SA, and yeah, we're still getting a signal with a squelch open. It says it's an S8 and minus 93 on the screen now. And like I say, apologies, I can't get the display to stay on. So although this claims to only get out, or claims to run from 20 to 1000 kilohertz, you can actually input frequencies as low as 10 megahertz. So I've put in 10 megahertz on the screen now, so I apologise, it's not that easy to see without a backlight. There you go, and the my light's reflecting off it as well. So 10 megahertz. I'll set the Tiny SA also for 10 megahertz, and the output's up as high as I can get it to go, and the signal is on. There we go. And if we open the squelch up again, you can see it's receiving absolutely nothing at all on 10 megahertz. If we try, say, 16, so I'm going to put in 0, 1, 6, 0, 0, 0, and we'll change the Tiny SA to do the same. So I'm going to change the Tiny SA to 16 megahertz output. And then we'll open the squelch up again. There you go, you can see we're getting an output on 16 megahertz. If we change it to 15 megahertz, so 0, 1, 5, 15 megahertz, and let's change this to 15 as well on the Tiny SA. And then we'll do the same again, open the squelch up. So you can see it won't receive much under 16 megahertz, and like I say, the sensitivity is not that great under 20 megahertz anyway. So next I'm going to try out the transmit capabilities of the UV-K5 99 in comparison with the UV-K5 version 8. So I've got the Shawcom SW33 power and SWR meter attached, and we're on 145 500 megahertz. Which, let's say, is the calling frequency here in the UK on 2 meters. So we'll transmit on there into the Shawcom and into a dummy load, and you can see that it's given out 4.62 volts, and that is on a full battery as well. So let's swap over to the UV-K5 8 and see what that's like on the same frequency. So the UV-K5 8 is running the F4HWN firmware, and we're on high power, and we're getting just a little over 6 watts, maybe just under 6 watts, and again that's on a full battery. So there's not a huge amount of difference, but marginal difference between the two. And again, I appreciate the firmwares are different there. Okay, so let's test out the harmonics then. So we've got the UV-K599 plugged in to a 10 watt 40 dB attenuator, then into the Tiny SA, And if we tap on the screen of the Tiny SA, we'll go into measure, and then we're going to click harmonic, and then we're going to set the frequency. So we're currently on 145,500 megahertz, and we need to take into account the 40 dBs of gain. So let's click on level, and then external gain minus 40 decibels, so 40 decibels of gain, and let's hit the PTT and see what we get. So you can see on our first harmonic there, the number 1 pin, we've got 34 decibels, and the second harmonic is minus 44, and if we scroll across to the second one, we'll see that that is about double the initial frequency, so around about 200, well it should be about 291, but because it's not all accurate, it's saying 290.6. So we'll change over at a 6 meter frequency, and I've got it set on 51,500, and then let's do the same on the Tiny SA. Let's go back and let's set the harmonic to 51.5 megahertz, and just check the level. Yeah, we still need to put in that minus 40 dBs of gain, and let's try that again. And you can see this time, although we're trying to transmit on 51,500, you can see the first harmonic that, or the main carrier that the Tiny SA is picking up is on 103 megahertz in the FM broadcast band. If we scroll down, you can see where we're trying to transmit is that 51.5 or 51.67 it's picking up there, at 9.2 decibels, but the stronger signal is definitely in the FM broadcast band there. So yeah, this is definitely no good for transmitting on 6 meters anyway. So perhaps more worryingly, I've seen a claim that this will, on the stock firmware, transmit on AM airband. So obviously we're not actually going to transmit, we're going into the attenuator, essentially a dummy load, and then into the Tiny SA. So let's just put this on a frequency, a random frequency in the airband. So I'm going to go 122.6, and that's on AM, and it shouldn't transmit. But yeah, there we go, look at that. Strangely, it's actually quite a clean signal. There we go, 122, yeah, 1223, minus 4.5 decibels, so that's actually working as an airband radio. Wouldn't ever recommend using it, because obviously it's not type approved, and it's still not all that clean. You could see there was another spike beyond that, but I don't know how they've got away with allowing that in the firmware, but that's the firmware that comes from the factory. So I'd never even considered transmitting on there or testing it until I saw a video on YouTube the other day. But yeah, just proves that it is capable of it. So that'll be my one and only test. So please avoid transmitting in the airband. I would probably recommend, just if you're going to have one of these, change the firmware to one that won't let you do that, because yeah, that's pretty foolish if anyone's messing around on the airband. So there you go, that's the Quansheng UV-K5 Model 99. As always, if you've enjoyed the video, please hit the like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. 7-3.